Hi, my name is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, and today I am here with my February TBR. I'm going to preface this with this is my TBR for various things that I have going on, mostly rom-comathon and a few themed videos and vlogs coming out, as well as book clubs. My NSYNC boy bands TBR I put up last week, so all the books in that TBR are not in this TBR. Yes, I will be reading both sets of books in February, and that is intimidating. But here we are. I've counted up my TBR, and between the Boy Bands Readathon and all of these books, I have about 21 or 22 books on my TBR. Why? I'm highly ambitious, apparently. I don't know what to tell you about that. It's just the number that it has been once I started stacking up all the books. There were 22 or 21. I forget the count, but it's over 20. Stick around and you'll see if it happens or if I crumble and fail and put myself into a slump. Put your guesses down below of what's gonna happen, I guess. But let's jump into the TBR. The first book on this TBR is In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This is a dark academia thriller. It follows Jessica Miller, who has returned for her 10-year university reunion. So she's returned for this reunion and she wants to show that she is a completely different person than she was 10 years ago. Relatable for people who go to reunions, like that's why you go, pretty much. But apparently when they were in university, Jessica was in a group of 6 friends and one of her friends, Heather, was murdered. This weekend, someone has orchestrated lots of events to find out who actually killed Heather. This next one you've seen on a previous TBR. I was going to binge this entire series for a video. I read the first book and then told on TBRs that I was reading the next 3, and I didn't. And I've given up on trying to binge the whole series. I do want to read the whole series, but I probably can't binge it now because it's been months, so it's not really binging. But I am going to put the book on my TBR, and it is The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. This is the sequel to The Wedding Date. It follows Carlos, who is a friend of Drew's from the first book. I loved Carlos in the first book, so the fact that there is a Carlos book makes me very happy. He meets Nicole at a Dodgers game. Nicole is proposed to by her boyfriend on the Jumbotron at the game, but turns him down, and the stadium turns on her. So Carlos helps her sneak out of the stadium. And I'm assuming a romance happens from there because it's a romance book. By the way, you'll be seeing a lot of romance on this TBR because I am doing rom-comathon this month, and also some of my book clubs, because it is February, picked romance books. So there's a lot of romance on this TBR. So the next book on this list is Part of Your World. This was recommended to me by the Instagram thing that's going around, 12 people recommend you 12 books. This is one of the ones on that list. Plus it works for one of the rom-comathon prompts, so here it is. I don't know much about this, and honestly the back is a little hard to find out exactly what's going on other than that it's a romance. But it follows Alexis Montgomery, who is an ER doctor, and she has now met a carpenter, Daniel Grant, who is 10 years younger than her, and a relationship, I would assume, happens, and that's really all I know about this. A lot of these romances I don't know that much about, other than that they are romances. So some of these are going to be real small synopses. The next 2 books on this TBR, and I'm going to do them together because they are part of a series. They are books 2 and 3, and it is In the Weeds and Mixed Signals by B.K. Borison. I read Love Light Farms in December. I absolutely loved it. I 5-starred the book. The next 2 are not holiday themed. I still think they take place at the Christmas tree farm, and realistically, Love Light Farms is not really holiday themed either, other than that it takes place at a Christmas tree farm, but here we go. I loved the first book. Again, I gave it 5 stars. This follows subsequent characters that were in the first book. In the Weeds follows Beckett and Evelyn. This is a second chance romance, and I'm so excited to pick this up. Beckett is a farmer at the Christmas tree farm and works for Stella, who is our main character in the first book. And I loved Beckett, and I really was intrigued by kind of the romance with Evelyn that was kind of hinted at in the first book. So I'm very excited to read the second one. The third book, Mixed Signals, follows Layla and Caleb. Caleb, if I recall correctly from the first book, is like a deputy in this small town, and Layla also works at the Christmas tree farm as a baker. You could kind of tell in the first book that there could potentially be a romance between these two characters, and I'm excited to follow this in the third book. There is scheduled to be a fourth book in this series, but it's not out yet. So if I get both of these done, I will be caught up in this series, which there's very few series I can say that about. So that's a win. The next book that I'm going to tell you about is actually my book club pick for my book club with Kelsey from Reads with Kelsey over on Instagram. We have the Read with B&K book club every single month. The link to join the Discord is down below. And this month's pick is Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I have read 2 books by Christina Lauren. I have 5-starred one and 4-starred the other, so I have high hopes for this book. This follows Macy Sorensen. Macy is a pediatrics resident and is planning her wedding until Elliot comes back into Macy's life. Elliot was Macy's first love, and now that he's back and they're starting to reconnect, she's starting to question what happened, why they broke up. It's told in dual timelines of the past and the present, and I'm excited to see how this pans out. And again, if you want to read it with us, the link is down below to join the Discord, and we will be having sprints as well, I believe on the first Tuesday of February. So I love Taylor Jenkins Reid. I've read Evelyn Hugo, Malibu Rising, Carrie, loved them all, but I still have not read Daisy Jones and the Six, and this has been chosen as one of the group books for Boy Band's Readathon. So this is the time. It's the time to finally read Daisy Jones and the Six. I've been told by multiple people to read this with the audiobook, and I will be doing that. I got the audiobook off Audible, so I will be using the audiobook, but I do have a physical copy, so I'll be reading along while listening, kind of doing both. Pretty much all that I know about this is that it follows the band Daisy Jones and the Six as they kind of come up in fame in the rock and roll world in the 60s, and that is all I know about it. I know that I just love Taylor Jenkins Reid and this kind of world that she's created with these 60s characters and famous people of the 60s and 70s and 80s, and how they somewhat connect and intertwine. So I'm excited to see how this kind of fits into that world that Taylor Jenkins Reid has created. Speaking of group books for the Boy Band's Readathon, I am also going to try to read We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. This will be my second ever Grady Hendrix book, and I'm interested to read some more of Grady Hendrix. I read My Best Friend's Exorcism last year, and I liked it until the end. I felt the end kind of went on for a while, so I'm hoping that I like this, and I have another Grady Hendrix that I'm going to show you in a second, a little bit more. This follows Chris Pulaski. She was the guitarist in a heavy metal band until the lead singer decided to start a solo career. Now Chris works in a Best Western as a manager, and something happens sinister at the Best Western that sends Chris on a journey of trying to discover what has happened and also to potentially get the band back together. How that all happens, I do not know. I'm just reading the synopsis. But I will be vlogging my thoughts, so hopefully I'll be able to give you a better synopsis after I've read the book in that vlog. The other Grady Hendrix book that I will be reading this month is Horror Store. This is set in basically an IKEA, but they don't call it an IKEA. They call it a Orsk furniture store, but it looks like an IKEA catalog, which I love. I love that. Every morning, the employees come in to find things smashed, and the security cameras are showing nothing, sales are down, things are happening, what is happening? So 3 employees decide to stay overnight for 9 hours to see if they can discover what's happening. this is a haunted house story, but it's a haunted store story. And I'm really hoping I like this. I'm still trying to decide if horror is my thing. I can't really decide. I want to give more. I don't think I've given enough a try to fully say. So I'm going to give a few more horrors a try, and this is definitely going to happen this month. We have another second author on this TBR, and it is Christina Lauren, again with the Honey Don't List. This follows Cassie Duncan, who has helped a design couple basically build their empire, kind of like Chip and Joanna Gaines type characters, and they are called Melissa and Rusty Tripp. They renovate homes, do all the things. They've also hired someone named James as a structural engineer to help with their designing business. The only problem is this couple that the world adores, Melissa and Rusty, they don't actually like each other. They don't get along. And behind the scenes, there's lots of drama. Casey and James have to deal with that drama. And I have a sinking suspicion, because it is Christina Lauren, it is a romance, that something happens between Cassie and James. The last book on the official TBR is No Exit by Taylor Adams. I cannot believe I haven't read this yet, but it's happening. It's happening this month. I'm reading this. This follows Darby Thorne. Darby is on a road trip to see her dying mother and is stuck in a blizzard in the Rockies. While stuck at a garage during the snowstorm, Darby sees a van, looks inside, and sees a child in an animal crate. That is disturbing. I have a feeling this book is going to be very disturbing. But I've heard amazing things about this, so I've heard most people adore this thriller. So I have high hopes. Darby is going to try to discover who is this child, what is going on, and that is what this book follows, and I'm very excited to read it. We have hit the end of this TBR. Is there any that I should start with? Do you have any order of operations that I should go with trying to get through this TBR? Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.